As you may know, I'm a pretty big user of the Fluent family of products. So that's Fluent CRM, that's a big one for me, Fluent Forms, and some of the others, but not quite as much. They're releasing a new product really soon that I've been looking forward to. I actually have known about it for a little while, but I didn't know when it was going to be coming out, and that is Fluent Cart. And I want to give you some first impressions. This is not going to be a full review of Fluent Cart. I just kind of want to show you the basics, kind of let you know what's coming. I think this is going to be a game changer for the WordPress space, and I'm looking forward to using it. Now, there's a little hitch there. I do want to make mention, and I'll mention that in this video, but Fluent Cart so far is looking to be a real winner. Now, I want to mention before we get started, this is going to be a little bit of a longer video than even I normally do, and it's because of the nature of this type of video. I'm going to basically be doing a walkthrough of Fluent Cart, and it'll be the first time that I've seen a lot of these screens. It's sort of a first impressions video. And in part of that, I'm going to talk out some things that I see that I'd like to see improved, some recommendations to the development team for that I think that they should be looking to do. I think some of them they're already going to be doing, but otherwise I'm providing feedback to the team as well. And I also want to show you guys the full experience of where Fluent Cart stands now. So with that being said, let's go ahead and pop into this video, and I want to show you the inside of Fluent Cart. Now, when it comes to selling stuff inside of WordPress, the big kahuna is, of course, WooCommerce, and that is what I use most of the time. But anybody who's used WooCommerce knows it's a bit of a beast. It's got all these add-on plugins, some of which are really stupid that they're add-ons, like the subscriptions plugin. Like, why is such a basic function require a pretty expensive add-on plugin? But we end up using other add-on plugins as well, and it just turns into a real beefy thing where you got, not only do you have a kind of a bloated WooCommerce system to begin with that's getting a little bit aggressive with their advertising for things like WooPayments and some of the other stuff they're trying to sell you, because that's one of their big money makers. But then you need all these add-on plugins, and so your WooCommerce store often turns into kind of a blimpy thing. Okay, now outside of WooCommerce, we've got easy digital downloads, which is definitely an option. It works pretty well for some people. I haven't used it a lot, but it's definitely a viable option, and it's pretty powerful. And then more recently, we've had SureCart. Now, SureCart is actually a really slick platform. The thing is, I don't use it mainly because I'm a fan of digital sovereignty, and that means that I'm not dependent on any outside services, and that's the way SureCart works. SureCart, the plugin is basically a gateway to make your site work with what is essentially a hosted system on their platform. And so you don't really have the products there. You don't, the orders, it's all not being done on your site. It's being done on SureCart servers, and that's an inherently different setup. Okay. And so for that reason, even though I respect what SureCart has done, I don't use SureCart. But I do use a lot of Fluent stuff with Fluent CRM, Fluent Forms, a little bit of Fluent Community. I love the ecosystem that this company's putting together. I also like how well they work together, because these things, they work so well. Like when you install, Fluent Form, you have a little tab that shows up in Fluent CRMs. You can see all the forms your leads have filled out. I mean, it all just works together beautifully. It's a great ecosystem. And so when I found out that Fluent Cart was something that was coming along, I was like, this is going to be pretty cool. Okay. And really recently, it turns out that this product is about to launch. And in fact, as I record this video, I think we're probably roughly a month out from the release of Fluent Cart. Because it's such a new product, there's still things in it that are missing. Okay. But that being said, I will say, and I'll show you this in a second, it's really robust for where it stands now. The fact that this is pre-release, they've clearly been working on this thing. Obviously, their own business has probably driven the development of this. They're developing it because they're developing the product that they wanted to use in their own business. And for that reason, it's really pretty mature, given that it's all pre-release. Okay, but there are some things that they need to add to it. I've seen the roadmap. There's definitely things coming. With all that being said, let's talk about Fluent Cart. Let me show you Fluent Cart. I'm just going to go over some impressions here. This is not going to be a full review. I'm not going to go into a comparison with other tools. I just want to show you what's coming. So first of all, if you want to learn more about what's coming, you can head right on over to fluentcart.com. They've got themselves a pretty nice looking website here already. Now, some of the options are not workable. Like, see, actually, a lot of these links work. I can see the blog is not active yet. But this site is coming along quite nicely, and it will spell out a lot of the things that I think are going to be really great about Fluent Cart. The fact that it's a very fast plugin, that it's not going to have a big beefy store that slows down the performance of your website. The fact that it's all going to be in-house, so it's going to respect digital sovereignty. You're not going to be using any hosted stuff. It's loaded with features, and this is all stuff that you're not having to pile a bunch of add-on plugins onto in order to make it do it, because it already does it all inside the main plugin. And I'm not a big fan of having multiple plugins that make one product do lots of different things. I wish they would just bake it in, but allow you to turn things on and off. And it seems like that's the way Fluent Cart is putting this together. It's got a real nice interface, very similar to the other Fluent products. Of course, they're going to have it towards developer friendly. With Fluent CRM particularly, I've made use of the developer docs, and I've actually got some customizations on Fluent CRM. I've integrated some things into it that were not there. It's all specific to my website. So the fact that they're doing that is awesome. It's going to have various payment integrations. It's going to sell subscriptions. The reason I giggle is just because it's almost a $300 a year add-on plugin to make WooCommerce do that. How stupid is that? And the fact that it's just built into this, as it should be, is one of the things that we're going to, of course, like about Fluent Cart. But, it's going to have, quite a few features. It's going to integrate with the Fluent ecosystem. You can come on right down the line here, and that's fluentcart.com. Okay, so they've set me up with a demo with some dummy data in there so I could take a quick peek at the inside of Fluent Cart here. Now this is sitting, I can tell by the URL, this is sitting on a VPS server with xCloud, which he has a partnership with. Let's take a peek around here. First of all, what I'm noticing is that when you go to the plugins list, it's got 2 plugins, okay? The main Fluent Cart core plugin, and then the Pro add-on. That's a pretty typical model for how Fluent products work. And it's nice because that means that I can operate the full Pro version of Fluent Cart, and we're going to have 2 plugins. Not like 8, 10, 15 like a lot of WooCommerce stores ends up, but just 2. So that's a pretty big deal. But now let's pop on over to the main dashboard and let's just take a peek around. I haven't actually been through all of this yet. First of all, dark mode, kind of cool. Now they do have the option here if you want to go over to light like typical. That's kind of cool. It'd be nice if they had that in some of the other Fluent products. Hint, hint. But I do like dark mode here. But it's really quick considering it's just operating on a VPS server with some other installs going on it. It's a pretty quick platform, but nice dashboard screen. Blows the crap out of the dashboard screen that's inside of WooCommerce, which seems like it's mainly used to try to sell add-ons for WooCommerce. This is actually useful. Okay, if we come on down to the orders list, and of course these are all mock orders, okay, but it's nice and clean. You got the payment status completed. Let's pop into one of these things, like let's pop into this. Yeah, loads up nice and fast. Yeah, you see what they ordered. Cool. I mean, let's see what we got here. Cancel order, change shipping status. Yeah, it's really user-friendly. One thing I think with the order interface with WooCommerce, it just seems really cluttery because they've basically taken the old school classic editor interface that's used for posts and stuff like that, and they've tried to use it for orders, and so the notes kind of go way down the screen, and it's just look the UTM details are in there, so you can actually track if it's coming in from different ads and stuff. That's pretty cool. So this is a really nice interface. It's very nice and clean. Let me pop out back here. Let's create a new order. Oh, very cool. You can create one. It's, you could do this with WooCommerce, of course. It's just, I like how clean the interface is, and it's also very, very quick. Let's go over to customers. You can see the customer profiles, how many things they've purchased, when they first became a customer. Looks like they've got the advanced filter, very similar to Fluent CRM, so we can search for, various label. Oh, cool. Yeah, I saw the labels in the order, so I guess you can kind of categorize these things under a label system, and you can kind of filter things out. So that's pretty handy. Let's pop into one of these. Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory, really. There's the order that we just clicked from. Let's check out the products. So let's create, okay, so that's interesting. What is a dummy product? I actually don't know what a dummy product, I have not gone through the system. Create a dummy product versus add a product, physical and digital. Most of the time, let me just add one, test digital. We're going to create a digital product. This product is currently in draft, yes. Short description, long description. Media, product categories right there, product type. Okay, so that's where the types come in. All right. Oh, okay, because I saw that down here. So it looks like they've got a taxonomy for different product types, and you can kind of group them that way. You can set your payment terms. So let's see what we got here. Simple variations. If you've used WooCommerce, you know what a stupid, complicated setup doing product variations is. It's just really weird with the attributes and all that. It's just kind of overly complicated. This is actually going to be a lot easier. I like it. Let's see what we got here. So we can set that. Compare. Oh, okay. Simple. One time. Here's our subscriptions. So, okay, let's do that. Like $50 per month. You can do installment plans. So if you want to, okay, got it. So you can actually charge installment plans on things. If you want a setup fee, that's kind of cool. Manage profit costs. Oh, it looks like you got a cost of goods sold type of situation, which is something they're just now bringing into WooCommerce. Inventory management. A lot of stuff's already in here. Downloadables. Very cool. Looks pretty self-explanatory, really. I mean, it at least seems like it's pretty easy to use. Let's look at the integration list. So we got MailChimp, Fluent CRM, of course. Probably not. Yeah, there's not too many integrations in here, but this is one of the things that they're putting in that's this is going to get longer over time. As I said, this is pre-release, so there's still a few things that I know are still going to be coming to this. Let's look at the reporting. Wow, this is going to be beautiful. Yep, volume breakdown. It's so nice and clean. It's fast. The reporting section of WooCommerce just leaves much to be desired. Retention chart. This is just stuff it's just nice. The MRR. I mean, this is just nice to have these things because I will tell you, it just doesn't. The way WooCommerce does it is just so spotty. It's so spotty. I've had to program a couple things myself with WooCommerce to get data that I want. I don't know why it has to be like that. This is going to be nice and clean. Very nice. Let's pop on down to settings. Let's see what we got here. So under store settings, okay, we can name our store. We can put the live and test mode. Self-explanatory stuff. Look at the pages. This looks very similar to the way WooCommerce does it, where you can choose pages for different sections. You could drop these short codes onto different sections for the shop page. That's basically for your catalog, customer profile, cart. Yep, all makes sense. Very easy. Single product and order setup. Show relevant and single page. Oh, okay. It's probably when you're I would imagine when you are looking at a product page and you're checking out different versions of it. Theme setup, got some colors and stuff like that. My understanding is that FluentCart is supposed to very gracefully just integrate in with your existing theme, which is going to be really nice. WooCommerce is similar, but the thing about WooCommerce, it'll be interesting to see the behind the scenes with this if you wanted to customize things, because with WooCommerce, some of the dumbest things in the world require use of the child theme, and it gets real nerdy real fast. Like something for as simple as changing that little text at the top of the dashboard on the account screen of WooCommerce, and you can't get rid of it without the child theme. It's like the dumbest thing in the world. So I just know FluentCart is going to make that stuff much easier because it's just not going to act like that. So it integrates with Stripe and PayPal. Looks like cash upon delivery is active right now. Here's a bunch that are coming: Molly, Authorized.net, Razorpay. So they've got a lot more payment integrations that are going to be coming down. But everything I use is pretty much Stripe. If you want to use PayPal, there it is. You can control your receipt template, which is cool. All right. Invoicing will be built in with WooCommerce. That does sort of require an add-on. So this will be nice to have this just built into the system. Checkout actions. Okay, very similar interface to Fluent CRM. So basically when people run through checkout, we can integrate it with various things. Let's see what we got. Yeah, we don't have a lot in here yet. I need to install this with Fluent CRM, but I'm sure it's going to have things with abandoned cart, with tagging, things like that. Alrighty. Yeah, we already covered that. Let's see. Storage. So I guess for your downloads, you can drop them into either Amazon, either your media library or Amazon S3. One thing, it would be nice because I like to use bunny.net. I actually think it's a lot more user friendly than Amazon S3. So it really would be nice to get an integration with bunny.net. Okay, hint, hint, guys. I think that would be a really cool add-on. Shipping, yeah. So you can set up your shipping zones, very similar to WooCommerce. And then for licensing, which I don't usually do, but actually, no, that's their licensing. It's up here. This is what I was looking for. If you wanted to sell plugins and software with this system, you can do it all built in. You don't need any additional add-ons and stuff like that, but they could buy it, sell license codes, things like that. One thing I would like to see from the guys on this would be for those of us that don't sell plugins, it would be nice if we could have an option to just disable the licensing functionality so it doesn't show up in the menu for those of us that are just not using it. All right, coupons, pretty self-explanatory. Let's see what kind of coupon options we've got. The title, the code, interesting. What is a coupon priority? Oh, okay. I guess you could, if multiple coupons apply. Interesting. And fixed percentage. This looks very similar to the way WooCommerce does. Include products. It's just a cleaner interface though than the way WooCommerce does it. And then of course you got product categories, so you can divide the store up into different categories. Makes perfect sense. All right, so I've jumped over to the front end. Of course, these are all dummy products. It's not like I entered this stuff. I just kind of wanted to get an idea what the catalog looks like. So let's pop over into one of these things. So I like this option here. This is nice and clean. I like the fact that it's so easy to just go in between these different variations. I like the buy now option rather than having to go through a shopping cart process. I think that should be something, and I think I saw it in the roadmap. As for those of us that sell digital products, it would be nice especially if a person's already logged in, and let's say that we've got the hash that connects up to their Stripe setup. It'd be nice if you could do one-click purchases. That way, when you have multiple courses and stuff like that, you can just do one-click sells for people who already have their credit card information set up. That would be a really, really cool function. But I like the setup here. Let's add to cart. Okay, nice little slide out cart. Let's check out the cart. This is nice. I do think it probably was a mistake in the setup. It shouldn't go full screen like that. It should actually show up within the context of a page, but it might be just something with the demo. Let's check out the checkout page. There we go. This looks clean. I mean, honestly, it looks kind of like a cart flows page. One thing I want to make sure we have is the ability to control all these fields, get rid of fields we don't want in the checkout page, stuff like that. It really would be nice, and maybe it has it, but I'm not sure yet, if we could do sales funnel capability inside of Fluent Cart. So that, for example, with WooCommerce, you've got the add-ons like cart flows, and you've got launch flows, and funnel kit, and these guys. It'd be nice if you could just do that stuff built into Fluent Cart without any additional stuff, okay? Without any geekery. Like, just have a nice checkout page that's hardwired into a particular product, and if you want to have upsells and downsells, I think that would be really, really nice. Also, make sure you can jump off to a custom thank you page. It may be there. I actually don't really know. I don't think the upsells and downsells are there yet, but that's all stuff that would be really nice to have inside Fluent Cart. Let's check out the customer profile. Yeah, I guess because I haven't purchased anything yet. One thing it'll be nice, I love with WooCommerce how it has the My Account screen. Like basically it's like the dashboard for anybody who's logged in. And in the world of WooCommerce, even if I had not purchased one of these things, the fact that I'm logged in and I have a user profile, I would see some kind of a My Account screen here that's like the dashboard. And I'm not seeing that here. Um, yeah. So maybe it's there, but I'd like to see those types of things. So I just saw this digital product with a custom page. This is pretty cool. I'm going to go back in and check out the setup for this, but this is what I'm after because with something like this, you can create a nice landing page for digital products. You don't need all the trappings of a typical physical product because most of my clients are not selling physical products. They're selling digital products. And so let's go back over here. So you can have some type of a landing page set up here and you've got your payment options. Buy now, let's see what happens. Boom, it's filled out. That's great. That's what I want. Now, I'm going to go back in and I want to see what the setup for that. It's called Demo Digital Subscription. So I popped back in order to check out this demo digital subscription. I'm still like, I see the product page here. That changes that. But see, the product page is kind of like you're going into the catalog again. Okay. And what we saw was that landing page. And so let's see what we got here. These are all the different pricing options for it. It's got a zip file attached as a digital asset that they're purchasing. I do see also these, which is interesting. I did not notice this before, which is the upgrade paths. So from plan that to plan. So it looks like there's some upsell capability already built into this. Let's see what this looks like. I have not looked at the documentation, so I'm poking around raw here, so it's interesting, but I'll have to look a little bit more into how this actually works. Let's see, preview. Let's see, integrations. This is probably where we're going to start to see like Fluent CRM popping up for when you want to tag them when they buy certain things. I would imagine WP Fusion is going to have an option. License settings, again, I'm not really using the licensing, so I do think, like I said, I think there should be an ability to shut off the licensing functionality for those of us that are not selling software. Yeah, see this? We don't need this kind of stuff. So popping over to the pages area, this is where I think some of those landing page things are coming out. So here's a digital product. I think this is what we were looking at. Let's pop this one open into a new tab. Yep, there it is. So let's see what this thing looks like. All right, looks like there's a pricing table. So let's see what kind of Fluent blocks they've got. Fluent. So we got Fluent Cart products, product search bar, pricing table. All right. Interesting. I'm still figuring this out off the fly, but as you can see, I will say this looks really nice and clean. It really does. Custom payment page. Yeah. So that was a pretty raw walkthrough of the demo, and you kind of get an idea for where things stand with Fluent Cart right now. It's coming along very, very well. I'll go over a few things in a minute that I think should be definitely there, and hopefully stuff that they're working on to really make this thing just an absolute killer solution. But first, I want to talk a little bit about the idea of migrating to Fluent Cart, because here's the thing. When I start to see a product like this, it makes me want to switch, okay? Even though there's still a few things that I think are missing that we can do with WooCommerce right now, it makes me want to switch. It would make life easier in a lot of ways. That being said, the migration process from one store to another is usually a very difficult process. Now, for what I've been told, they currently have a migration process from Easy Digital Downloads. And the main reason for that was because they themselves were using Easy Digital Downloads, and so they wanted an upgrade path. Makes perfect sense. But most of my clients, including myself, and probably a heck of a lot of people, are using WooCommerce. And I think that they're going to probably make a migration path, but I don't know when it's going to come out. And it could be kind of difficult, to be honest with you. And so it's one of those types of things, especially, by the way, if you're using subscriptions. Subscriptions can be notoriously difficult to move from one platform to another. WooCommerce subscriptions, which is what I use, it does everything in-house. And I really like that. It just basically triggers rebills to Stripe. And so in theory, we should be able to migrate it over to another platform and let FluentCart take over. But there's going to definitely be some work involved on their part to make that happen. So it's important to understand that right now there is not a migration path from WooCommerce to FluentCart. That if you want to switch, you're basically going to have to cut the cord. Either that or you would need to run both stores simultaneously with one another, which I honestly don't know how well that would work. And you run all new traffic through FluentCart and you sort of do a slow transition. That honestly is probably not worth it. So that's something to understand. Now, if you're a SureCart user, just realize you're probably never going to have a migration path because SureCart is a hosted platform that happens to have a gateway plugin. It's a very different setup. So at the end of the day, I just don't think you're ever going to see a migration path. Maybe I'll be wrong, but that's sort of the way it is. But I can hope that they're going to have a WooCommerce migration path at some point, because if I could test that and I find that it works, you'd find me switching. Okay, so now the part where I basically give some recommendations on things that I'd like to see, okay? Keeping in mind, it looks quite mature as it sits, but it's all pre-release. There's still a lot of things coming on this thing. Okay, so a few notes. One is that I definitely did mention the ability to disable the licensing functionality for software, because there's a lot of people that just don't sell software. We don't need license codes. And even though you could ignore it, it would just be nice if we could just get it out of the menu so it's not even cluttering up the interface. Okay, so that's one thing. Another thing was the custom dashboard, basically the equivalent of the My Account functionality that WooCommerce has. I think that Fluent Cart needs to have something similar that is not tied to whether they've got an order that was created or a profile created with one of the Fluent products. It should just be the fact that you have a user profile, you log in, you can set up a dashboard page and click in. Now, I did not experiment yet with maybe creating my own dashboard, and then just kind of integrating some of the Fluent pages in there with short codes. I didn't get that far into it, but it would be nice if there was something that was kind of easy to use, like the My Account screen with WooCommerce, and with the ability to also customize it. Okay. I did also mention the idea of sales funnels and upsells and downsells. Right now, the product doesn't really have it, and it really is needed if you want to make it basically a WooCommerce killer. Because here's the thing, WooCommerce doesn't have that capability either. However, when you add on cart flows and some of these things, you do. If you could make Fluent Cart do all those things in one product, my gosh, that would be so damn awesome. And I think it's coming. In fact, what I've seen in the notes is that the sales funnel capability is right now slated for Q4 of this year, and the upsell downsells are coming in Q3. And I think that that's going to be really, really important, because I don't want to send people through a traditional shopping cart setup. I just want to go from a button on my landing page to purchase it through some upsell pages that I can control with the block builder and format the way that I want, and just give them the yes and no button in order to take the upsell or decline it. And the pathway through that, that's what I want. I don't want I want to make it to where you can't look at it until I'm using Fluent Cart. Okay. And I like the fact that I can do that with cart flows right now on top of WooCommerce. It would be awesome if Fluent Cart could do it all in one plugin. All right. One other thing that came up was the ability to ask for custom information when people are purchasing these products. And so, for example, let's say that you want to have a few custom fields on a product so that when somebody's buying it, they can fill out those little custom fields during the purchase process. It would come in handy in a lot of different scenarios. Let's say that somebody was registering for an event, something like that, and you wanted to run it through Fluent Cart. It would be really, really cool. One thing I was also thinking was to have an integration with Fluent Forms in some way. And I could see a couple ways that might work. One might be that maybe you could fill out a Fluent form, and while you're doing it, you're sort of purchasing a Fluent Cart product. That'd be cool. It'd almost be the way Fluent Booking currently integrates in with it. Another way that would be cool is to use some of that functionality of Fluent Forms to almost embed a Fluent form onto a Fluent Cart page so that you could fill out a few custom fields that way and kind of do it all at once. They're purchasing it, but you're also collecting some custom information and then using the ability of Fluent Forms to pop emails off and all that. I think it would be a really, really killer combo if you could do that. And then, of course, it's just the ability to make modifications in terms of the design of Fluent Cart pages. If you want to override the styling, I think it should be really easy. I know that the stuff that I've seen looks really nice, and I know that it would be pretty adaptable to different site designs. However, some people want even more customization than that, and I don't think that it should be particularly difficult to do it. The way that Fluent Cart seems to be working is it's not just PHP to HTML. It looks like it's using React and stuff like that. I did notice some interface things where I'd pop up the cart and it was almost like the page was painting in front of me, like things were showing up after page load. That's something that I think they should try to make it not happen so it's not quite so weird. But also because of that, it could make it a little bit more difficult to modify. Kind of like Fluent Community, how Fluent Community has its own portal design with only very basic modification capability. And I kind of don't want to see that with Fluent Cart. It would be nice if there was a little bit more options. Those are the things that came up to mind, but as you can see, giving its pre-release phase, it's coming along quite nicely. Well, all right. Well, this became a kind of a long video. It's sort of the nature of a video like this, where I'm basically doing a walkthrough and a first impression type of thing, providing some feedback to the developers. It kind of goes with the territory. But overall, I am very happy to see the state of Fluent Cart. I'm very happy to see them doing it. It's just like, it's almost a necessary piece of the ecosystem that these guys are building, coupling it with Fluent CRM, and I just see such a strong future with this product. And I'm also looking forward to the ability to be able to use it. The WooCommerce migration is definitely going to be an issue. And frankly, while I might use Fluent Cart on some new sites that I am involved in building, I'm not going to be able to migrate to it. It wouldn't be worth the hassle to come off of WooCommerce. So I'm really hoping that the team will be able to solve that one in the not too distant future, because then I really would test out a potential move away from WooCommerce, and I would be happy to do so. It's not that I hate WooCommerce. It's just that it's such a beast. And if I could find one that's just a slicker experience to use day to day, I would be very, very tempted to move over to it. I will also say, I know that Fluent Affiliate is coming really soon. I know that Fluent Affiliate and Fluent Cart are going to work awesome. I know that Fluent Affiliate is going to work with other carts too. So those of us who are using WooCommerce, we'll be able to use Fluent Affiliate. I'm expecting really good things from Fluent Affiliate. I have not yet done a first impression video or tested Fluent Affiliate, but I am looking forward to doing that. But Fluent Cart is going to be a bigger deal. I really do think Fluent Cart is going to be a bigger deal in the long run than Fluent Affiliate. The combo is going to be freaking awesome, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what the team does with it. So anyway, those are my thoughts, my first impressions on Fluent Cart. Really excited, and I will continue to watch the product develop.